Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name's Riley. If it's your first time seeing my face on YouTube, go subscribe to my channel and leave a like on this video. Today we're going to be bringing y'all some of this Ruby Franke's news. I've been seeing this pop up on my YouTube here for about like a month, and I remember I used to watch these people growing up. Like when I was a kid, man, I used to watch this channel. I forgot what the channel name is. I can't put a pin on it, but apparently she got picked up on charges for child abuse. That's crazy. It's kind of like that Daddy05 channel. I don't know if y'all remember that. I used to watch them too growing up, man. Same shit. I guess it got his kids taken away, but this one, I guess she actually went to prison for it. So we're gonna have to see how this all unfolded. And this is her just taking a look at her life now after all this unfolded. Let's go. O'Reilly. Alright, y'all, before we're going over this clip, makes you comfortable, grab something to snack on and something to sip. Let's just video together. Let's go.
I expect a major shock to the system for both Franke and Hildebrand.
A major life change for now convicted child abusers Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrand. From refusing to speak with cops to guilty pleas on all counts.
Wow.
The sentence will be that Ms. Franke serve 4 counts, 1 to 15-year sentences based on her convictions for 4 counts of aggravated.
1 to 15 years times 4. So really, she'd be put in there for 60 years if they wanted to. 60.
We're taking a look inside prison life for Ruby Franke and Jody Hildebrand.
It definitely looks like middle age, you know. 60 is pretty much life.
You have no privacy, no intimacy.
For years, Ruby Franke was known for her YouTube channel, 8 Passengers, that chronicled her life.
8 Passengers, man. That's what it was called.
Kids.
Wow.
The channel once boasted more than 2 million
not
followers.
like watch them crazy.
My gosh, you guys, having kids is so much fun.
But since last summer, Ruby has been famous.
I always thought she was psycho too, man. Every time I watch it, that's why I watch it. You see shit popping all over up. I watch a couple of these videos, man. It's like this girl seems a little. You know what I mean? I steer away from that.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help, and he's said he just came from a neighbor's house, and we know there's been problems at this neighbor's house.
What?
He's emaciated, he's got tape around his legs, he's hungry, and he's thirsty.
On August 30th, 2023, Ruby's then 12-year-old son broke free from duct tape shackles and ran for help. He was emaciated and had open wounds on his wrists and ankles. Newly released Ring security video shows the boy approach a neighbor's home.
Hi, I was just wondering if you could do 2 favors. Well,
yo, this is my first time seeing any of this, right? What? The only word I got is what the hell. I did not know that this was a title of child abuse. Keeping your kid captive and not feeding them? You can tell how skinny his legs are. Wow, this blows my mind.
Taking me to the nearest police station. Well, actually, just one's fine.
What's going on, son? Have a seat there.
It's personal business. Oh, you were such a good kid.
This kid is probably sleeping. I think he's been detained. He's obviously covered in wounds.
Body camera video shows first responders on the scene have an emotional reaction to the boy's wounds.
Got pictures. I'll take more. If you want me to, just let him do.
How did you get the ropes on you? Who did them?
What's she saying? His mom? I mean,
you're not in trouble with me, okay? We're just trying to figure out what's going on. Our main focus right now is you, okay? Who put the ropes on you?
Come on, bro. What is this?
Supposed to help you what?
We now know the boy and his younger sister endured months of psychological and physical abuse, all at the hands of their mother, Ruby Franke, and her friend Jody Hildebrandt. At the time of their rescue, the kids were staying at Jody's home in Ivins, Utah.
No, I'm not going to step out of the house.
Step out of the house.
Whoa.
Get her ass. Get her ass.
Wait a minute, how do you come to my house?
Both Jody and
Get her
Ruby
ass,
were
man.
initially
Throw her on the
charged with
ground.
6 counts of aggravated child
Pieces
abuse,
of shit.
But after they pleaded guilty to those charges in December of last year, the charges were bumped down to 4. Law and Crime Network was in the courtroom for the sentencing hearing of both women.
To my babies.
Shut your ass up, man.
My 6 little chicks. You were a part of me. I was the mama duck who was consistently watering you to safety. I can see now what a best friend is. I was in a deep undercurrent that led us to danger. I in my world went into darkness knowingly. I was so disoriented that I believed dark was light and right was wrong. I would do anything in this world for you.
Ultimately, both Ruby and Jody were sentenced to up to 15 years in prison.
Oh,
According to
I'm
public
tripping.
defender Natalie Whittingham-Burrell, time behind bars will be much different than anything Ruby or Jody has experienced before.
If you come from the type of wealth and opulence that Jody Hildebrandt is particularly used to, and then we know that Ruby Franke built herself up a kind of media empire with 8 passengers, it's going to be a culture shock for them because you have no privacy, no intimacy. All of your private areas.
I would have never expected this, man.
And then you've got a
I wonder if it was that little kid. I know she had like a little daughter too that they showed earlier. She was eating like snow or some shit. I wonder if that was a daughter that was involved in all this.
Like that. So that's usually a big shock and adjustment for many people. And jails are noisy and smelly, so they're not the best places to be in.
To start, Whittingham-Burrell says both Ruby and Jody would have been searched during intake.
But in a prison intake, usually they're going to do a full cavity search. They will take away any property that you have that is personal to you, and anything that they allow you to keep will be inspected. You'll be given prison-issued garments. And then usually they'll be told like what the rules of play are, how you are to comport yourself and behave yourself while you are in their prison. So usually it's completely looking you over to make sure you're not bringing in any contraband and giving you prison clothes.
You mentioned things that they might be able to keep. A lot of the things you said they wouldn't be able to, but what is something that they might be able to keep with them?
Legal papers, sometimes letters from family members, attorney correspondence they'll be able to take with them. Those are the things that they're usually able to take. And sometimes they'll let them take some personal reading materials, like religious texts and things of that nature. Sometimes they'll be able to bring that.
After their arrests, Ruby and Jody were booked into jail at the
Damn, look at that damn front yard. That's badass. I was always thinking, oh, I'm about to move over to damn, what is that, like Arizona, Utah or something like that? Like, damn, that's walking out my front yard and seeing that. I don't know, man. I don't know what's better, down here in Florida or that, bro. That shit looks...
correctional facility.
I mean, it looks all like desert though. There's like no grass,
to a different Utah
no
Department
trees,
of Corrections facility. Even
just
that
shrubs
move is
and
a
dirt.
drastic change. Would it be a big transition from their time in jail the past 6-ish months
like
and now
Mars.
them serving a prison sentence?
Yeah, so prisons tend to be more restrictive and authoritarian than jails are, because jails are supposed to really be a temporary
Does she have
stay.
a husband?
And most people are not in a jail unless they're being held
What's wrong
in
with the
trial for a
husband?
long
I mean, it
time.
was
But
just
most
them
people
two?
are not in a jail for more than a year or two. So prison is long-term stay. And so for that reason, they're a lot more regimented, and jail is already very restrictive and regimented. Prison is 10 times that, especially when it comes
what was
to your
the motive?
movement from
They
cell
got,
to
like,
cell,
what, a couple million
or
on
from
YouTube
one area to the other.
ad?
That's much more highly regulated.
According to
She's
phone
probably making
call
decent
recordings
money.
from Ruby's time in jail, she didn't see Jody after their arrests.
When was the last time you talked to her? Was it that day?
It was when we were arrested. 45-minute drive to the jail. And that was the last time I spoke to her. We were in the back.
Yeah, it is Utah.
And we didn't say a whole lot. I mean, we talked the whole time, but I don't remember really saying a whole lot. We sang hummed a couple hymns, and
We talked about something.
She was still justifying the whole time. She's like, don't worry, we'll have our day in court. And then when we were booked in, they put us in separate cells, and we've been in separate cells ever since.
But Whittingham Burrell says it is
I thought it was
possible
gonna be
that Ruby
bunkmates?
and Jody run into each
Come on
other
now.
on the inside.
Yeah, so it is possible that they could run into each other. That's usually not as likely, though, in prison. So the fact that it didn't happen at all in jail is really because they were pretrial. They didn't want them talking to each other. But they're not going to want them to interact with each other in the prison either, especially because they plotted and planned together to do this really violent thing. They're going to want to keep them apart from each other. So it's very possible that they have them restrained, and so sometimes
What was
there's
the motive, man? That's
there's
why I can't.
restrictions
Like,
that you
what
put
was
on
the
co-defendants
motive?
to ensure that
I mean,
they
there's
don't
no
come
motive
into
for doing
contact,
this
like
to
having
kid,
them go to
but
lunch at different hours, having them in different units.
what was her
those types
motive?
of
You know what I
things.
mean?
So
She did it for some
I think it's
reason.
more likely that they don't come into contact with each other.
She's
in
a
prison.
psycho. I mean,
And
that's
because
screws
of the
loose.
major publicity of the case, Ruby and Jody may already be well known behind bars. Is it possible that some of the inmates
know who
already
Jody
in
is.
prison now
Or Jody,
know
whoever the
Ruby
second-
and Jody and what they've done?
Oh, it's highly possible. I'm almost convinced that the inmates will, if they don't already, they will find out. Usually they do what they're charged with or what they've been convicted of and pled guilty to. And that's not good for prison because people that are convicted of abusing children tend to get it the worst in prison versus
yeah.
people that are charged with crimes of
Yeah,
violence against adults.
That's the best
How
thing,
do
bro.
you create a new
I love to
community
hear
in
that.
prison, or is it possible that they'll be isolated because of their crimes?
I love to
That's
hear
on
that.
a case-by-case basis and a personality basis. You know, I would, with Jody Hildebrand, she seems to have this type of personality that draws people in, and she'll probably, more than people with those personalities do, tend to try to get a group around themselves and get people to do things for them. But the thing that they're going to have to realize is that they are coming from a different socioeconomic background than many of the women that are in the prison with them. So they'll probably be seen in an adversarial way, you know, privileged people that have the ability to stay out of prison. And so for that reason, they will likely for the first few years that they're there be somewhat isolated until they get used to how you should behave in prison, because there is a culture around that. And people that kind of come in with expectations that they'll be treated as though, you know, they're higher class and the people that are in there are somehow better than the people that are in there usually tend to fare worse, charges aside. And we had some, the jail phone calls from Ruby Franke where she was talking about the women screaming and how she felt sorry for them. She might be in a rude awakening for the fact that she's going to be kind of low man on the totem pole when she comes in there.
It was horrible. It was torturous last night, hearing the screaming and the banging and people. It's like, okay, that's you know, upsetting. But the most upsetting thing
man.
is that I am
that's right next to you, you know?
misunderstood. That is the most horrible feeling.
And
I
those
can't imagine
other
her
inmates
ass in there.
could pose a risk to both women. Is it possible that their physical safety could be at risk, that someone might attack them?
It's possible. I mean, I would hope that the prison warden, prison warden, the correctional
Kodak
officers
shit.
would be aware of that risk, because they're charged, they're convicted of very serious, very upsetting charges. And you have to think about the fact that when people get involved in the criminal justice system, a lot of the times they're coming with a certain level of trauma their own selves. If they identify with their victims, Ruby's children at all, that could put Ruby and Jody at...
I don't get, she had all these kids too. It's like no one came up and checked on their little brother and sister. Like what?
Serious risk of danger. And so they'll probably be supervised by the correctional officers accordingly. You get that less in women's prisons than you get in men's prisons, but it's still a risk.
Ahead of any parole hearings, Whittingham Burrell says both women will be monitored. So is somebody going to be keeping tabs on both Ruby, Franke,
Monitors
and
is
Jody
what they
Hildebrand,
say,
kind of
man. That don't
monitor
go
what
a
they're up
rat's
to?
ass.
Absolutely.
They don't pay him
Prisons
enough in
and
there
jails
to be
keep meticulous
keeping
notes of
eyes on
inmate
certain
behavior,
people like that,
and that
man.
is to include commendations for, you know, oh, this person worked in the kitchen, or they volunteered to teach people how to read, or something like that. That can get you extra bonus points. It can get you good time credits. It can get you good consideration with the parole board. But if you're someone who gets into fights, gets infractions, they have their own kind of court system in prisons and jails where you can internally be brought up on charges, internally have hearings. Those type of things are all documented and communicated to the parole board. And if you get into a lot of issues in prison, that will definitely count against you. And if you're the model inmate, that will count in your favor.
And we heard those jailhouse phone calls. They were referenced during sentencing as well. And I know that things will be monitored, as you said, in prison. Is it possible that any of their phone calls then could be used against them or for them when it comes time to make parole?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It could be. And any of the people that makes a presentation can bring it to the attention of the parole board. I don't know if necessarily the parole board will do its own investigation outside of asking the prosecutor, the victims, the family members, and then Hildebrand and Frankie themselves what their position is on release. But if that's brought to their attention or they do their own independent investigation, I have no doubt that that would negatively impact their ability to obtain release, because it will always count against whether or not they are truly remorseful.
So how much time did they end up getting?
Psychologist Dr. John Delatorre, reform of both women is possible, but not guaranteed.
I think change is a very difficult and kind of loaded question. I don't believe people change. I believe people change their behaviors. Now, if people want to say that changing your behaviors ultimately leads to a change of who you are as an individual, sure, I'm not going to argue against it. What I'm going to say is that people are who they are. And in order for Ruby and Jody to kind of even come close to being a productive member of society, they have to demonstrate that they understand why they did what they did. Whether they have empathy or not is really kind of a product of who they are as individuals. I mean, sure, therapy can train them how to have empathy, but that doesn't mean they actually feel it. So for them, it's really about acknowledging the responsibility that they had and not justify it, not excuse it, not say that they were trying to get rid of evil or whatever this other nonsense is. They really have to accept guilt. And I don't know that either one is really there just yet.
What we do know, life behind bars will be a major change for both women.
I mean, that's the whole point of having the prison system.
They're probably in a nice house, nice area,
and it's
nice food, nice clothes.
Yeah, now I've lost all of this stuff. I've lost all my freedom. I've lost all of the material objects that I used to define me. But the reality is that
I remember those two, Ruby, bro. Like, well, they didn't come out and check.
I don't know who she is as an individual, and it certainly could be another opportunity for her to become more resourceful and more manipulative and more coercive, because now all she's around are other criminals who can help her hone those kinds of skills. So it's anything is absolutely possible.
Hey, that girl's gonna come out hard, boy. Come out with a couple tattoos, rips
of what's going on.
Oh my gosh,
this
man!
Is the
Jaw
thing
dropping.
About prison that I think
the hell are you doing in there?
It's such a shock to the system if you've never been institutionalized before, and thankfully most of us have not. And so if you go from you're in control, say Jody Hildebrand,
comment down below if you ever been in jail or prison, man,
business,
and tell me what the charge was for, man. I love to hear about it.
Tell people what to do. She
Luckily,
controls people's families.
On that part.
You have no control in prison. You get told when you can go to the bathroom, when you can shower, when you can eat, when you can have recreation time. And if you don't follow rules, you can get segregated and put in your own room all by yourself in very uncomfortable conditions. And that's just the official rules of the prison itself. But then you have the internal rules of the cliques and groups that form inside of a prison amongst the inmates themselves, their own personal codes of conduct that are unwritten, but if you run afoul of them can result in some very uncomfortable times in your prison sentence. So I expect a major shock to the system for both Frankie and Hildebrand.
Both women can serve up to 15 years in prison, but it will be up to the Utah Board of Parole and Probation to determine when they're released. Reporting for Law and Crime.
Does it say when the trial is? I guess we're gonna have to, unless she's going off based off good behavior. I'm not too sure about that, but yeah, hopefully they serve 15 years, both of them. Because man, I just don't understand. See, I think these were two right here, right? This little boy and this girl. Because I actually don't remember this, but I do remember this girl for some reason. And yeah, I think those were the two that were probably the one getting abused. We didn't hear much about the daughter though, because at the start of the video, they said daughter and son. We ain't heard shit about the daughter, so I guess we're gonna have to wait. Maybe they have a trial scheduled for it. I don't know. We're gonna have to just roll this outro. Let's go. Alright, y'all. Before we're gonna wrap this one up, go ahead and. Alright, y'all. We're gonna wrap this one up. If you enjoy this type of content, I'm gonna link a place right in the video. It's gonna have all the reactions on there for y'all to check out. We're dropping a video every single day, all of 2024. So go ahead and smash the bell so you don't miss out on my future content. We also got a giveaway up for you guys as well. All you gotta do is go down, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and you're automatically entered. Easy as that. Once we reach 500 subscribers, we're giving away a couple $50 gift cards. So if y'all trying to make some free money, go down there, spam the credentials. I appreciate every single one of y'all that's helping this channel grow. And yeah, I'll see you on tomorrow's episode. Peace.